What's going on, everybody? Mark Fleetwood here. Welcome back to the Daily Grind Trader. There's been crazy indecision in the market, and what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take 4 coins: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Matic, and Mana, and I'm going to give you my key points of reference to say which way this indecision may go and what points need to be broken to confirm that move becoming decisive. With that being said, stay tuned, everybody. We're going to hop right into it. All right, before I get started, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I simply share my technical analysis in hopes that you use it as you see fit. But remember, you manage your own money and you manage your own risk. If you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. It all helps immensely. It is greatly appreciated. Throw me a comment, let me know what you think. But we're gonna hop into Bitcoin first. And we're on the chart here. And I'm gonna zoom all the way out because I want to make sure that we know where we came from before we know where we're going. We've been in a bull market, we know, since like 2020. We've been in a bull market and up and down, and we retested our bull market support line, and then up and down. We retested the bull market support line. We broke it, and then once we broke below it and we came back and had a failed retest of the bull market support line is when we were absolutely bearish without any question in a bear market. That is important now because it will help us to identify points of resistance and points of support to know where we're going in the future. Right now, we had a massive sell-off, and I will not get into politics or political things on this channel, so we know why that we had this big sell-off and then the big return, the big bounce. I think it was a massive market overreaction followed by a massive market reaction to said overreaction. So with that being said, we had a bottom to peak of about a 17% swing in less than 3 days. 3 days hasn't completed yet. But what we're getting now is this candle here and now is a sign of indecision. This try to get up, try to go down, and it is just about opening and closing near the same spot. This is a telltale sign of indecision. Typically, people will see indecision as a look to a reversal. So it's been going up these past 2 days. Now, obviously, this was a deep down dive, and the trend was going down already. So is this uptrend a short-lived uptrend where we're getting into an indecision pattern and we're going to come down, making an evening star, or just a doji reversal? Very easily could happen. But I'm going to go into tighter time frames to show you what areas of support resistance you have to look for if you want to enter this as a trading opportunity. Going to the 4-hour, and you see here we're getting into a tight little squeeze of like a Bollinger squeeze between the 50 smooth moving average and the 21. The 21 has been holding support, the 50 has been holding resistance. Now, as this breaks, will the market break? If it breaks to the downside below the 21, now we don't have support again until we get to 36.5, which would be a nice move. This 21 breaks and we get a clean break and a retest at like 38.3, 38.4, and now we've got a sizable move, a 4.8% move down to this next support line. Could be a good trade. Now, if the 50 breaks to the upside, currently the 50 is above our resistance line at 39.6, so if it breaks above the 50, and we get a retest and we get a clean break and we have a known break of the 50. Like, you don't want this. You don't want to wick out because you see how hard that came back in. That was the rejection of the higher price. But if it does get a clean break out with the body out, and you say at 40K, then we can go up to about 41,260 and have about a 3% gain. And then is when we would be hitting our major resistance line, our downward resistance of the trend line. So is it possible we come up and test this trend line again and come back off? Sure. Is it possible we come up and break it? It's absolutely possible. I find it to be very highly unlikely, but it is possible. I think the most likely scenario, scenario A is going to be the most likely. Come down, we retest the 21, and then we come down and see this here. That is going to be path A. I think it's going to be the most likely. Path B will be the second most likely, where we come up, retest, and get walled here at the next level of resistance at the 41,275-ish range, and that could bring itself out far enough to where it is also a retest of this bearish trend line. And then C, the absolutely most unlikely, would be something along the lines of this, where we test this and then break all the way out of the bear line, and then that would throw the market into a frenzy, because we broke the downward trend, and now people might actually, this could trigger a cascade of buys and then cascade of shorts being lost. So this could cause a cascade event if it happens, but I think it's the least likely to happen. So that's the Bitcoin analysis right now, going down into the smaller time frames to show, where we're at as far as, even if the indecision breaks one way or the other on the daily, there's a lot of other kind of smaller support and resistance lines that we have to take care of and that we have to get through before the meat of the move can happen. So now we're going to take a look at Ethereum on the daily. And Ethereum on a daily is making a very similar pattern. It's making a spinning top doji right now, and as of the time I'm speaking right now, the price action is actually up a little bit. It was down. It was closer to even like Bitcoin. But the difference here with Ethereum is that Ethereum has an additional level of resistance in that it is the neckline of the double top. So it came down here, hit the neckline, came up again, double top, and now is this just a retest of that neckline to where it's going to retest and come down and shoot to a new low? Also, the 200-day smooth moving average is acting as a resistance. So this is just having broken under the 200. Will it hold as a resistance? Because Ethereum has moved slower than Bitcoin, or out of the bull market less recently, and just passed under its 200 on January 21st. Came back to retest it, broke back above it, and this was that run up that we had from the end of January to the beginning of February, when Ethereum breaking back above its 200, and now it's back down below. So the 200 smooth moving average is going to be a key point of resistance. If it rejects hard off of here, the next move on this pattern, to say that this pattern works out, would be to at least test this low or potentially get below it, where you have your double top and you have this retest of the neckline, and then you're coming down here. So you could see a $2,300 Ethereum at some point if this plays out. Now, what is the bullish scenario? The bullish scenario is that we break above the 200 again, and we break the neckline, and once this neckline gets broken at this point on a clean break, clean everything, then the double top is no longer relevant, and it is cleanly broken out of this double top, and we'll be pushing towards the overall bearish trend line. So that would be the most bullish scenario for Ethereum right now, I think, is to break above the 200, and in doing so would likely break above 28.35, this level of resistance at the neckline, and then be testing 29.50, and that testing 29.50 is most likely going to be pushing up against the diagonal resistance, and we'll see where we go from there. But I think the most likely is a rejection off the 200, and then we start seeing downward pressure again. Again, guys, all markets are being in a weird spot right now. There's indecision everywhere. The NASDAQ, the European markets, the all world global markets are in a weird spot right now. So it's really hard to tell what could transpire. But again, zooming all the way out, Ethereum has been very similar to Bitcoin, not necessarily identical, but up, retest, up, came down, retest, broke through, a bearish retest of the trend line, and now that rejection down. Matic is one that I've watched, and Matic again has also only recently broken through the bullish trend line. It was January 21st when it fell through, and it retested on February 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th this 4-day range where it could have gotten back above or went below, but it fell, and now it has also fallen below its 200-day smooth moving average, which will likely become a line of resistance here. And I don't believe that this line will break. I don't believe it will break above the 200-day, and it's going to kind of fall back again. Now, there's no like double top pattern here. There's not anything that you can see as a traditional pattern other than just the daily candle is looking like it could be a spinning top or a shooting star, a down trending candle. But coming off of this, you know, we had a doji the other way, flipped up, and then came, if we have another doji coming this way, it could flip back down. I think that this is a blip. I think the past 2 days, that deep dive down and then a buy back up, I think it was, like I said, a severe overreaction and then a reaction to that in the market. I'm going to continue with the trend that was already brewing, that was already there, and see that that is the most likely to return, is to keep that trend coming down until we eventually retest. But I think once we retest this trend line, it'll be farther out, the second week of March, 8th, 9th, 10th, somewhere in that range. So here, yeah, I mean, we've got a visual line of support resistance on the 200-day moving average. It broke below, it did not hold, broke back above and did not hold again. So it's fighting the moving average right now, and it could very easily reject off. If this is the rejection off, price will fall. And then we're going to take a look at Mana. Again, Mana also same scenario, up, 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 broke the trend line down, retested the trend line down, hit a test of the new bearish trend line, and is now making a shooting star. And again, these are all very similar patterns. Shooting star here. Mana, however, has not fallen below the 200-day moving average yet. So the 200-day moving average could be where Mana wants to go back to. This could be a line to test for a longer term downtrend move. Mana could go back below $2 and go back to about $1.90, depending on how fast it gets there and where the 200-day moving average is once it does. But Mana definitely has a kind of a double top scenario playing out here, and the neckline has been a rejection, and the neckline is essentially the 50-day moving average, which is starting to reject Mana, and the 50 and 21 are kind of right on top of each other. So you know, this candle bought all the way up above the 21 and sold right back down. This one retested the 50, this one got close to the 50, and this one retested the 50 and the 21, but they're so close together right now, they're almost, you know, it's almost the same price. So for Mana, again, I'm looking at the most likely scenario is that this becomes a flip back down, and you know, we don't retest the bearish resistance line for at least a couple of weeks before we start getting some pressure back up. But it might actually be longer depending on how the markets respond and how the markets react in general to what's going on in the world. I mean, anything could happen between the Russia-Ukraine scenario if China decides to pop off and take Taiwan or whatever the case might be. Again, I'm not getting into it, but they do affect markets, and it's something you should be aware of. It's just I'm not going to be the one to tell you what to be aware of because I am not educated in that manner. I'm not educated in world politics, and I would be, it would be wrong for me to talk about it because it's not something I study. So with that being said, guys, that's the video. Be cautious, be aware, at least this weekend, at least keep an eye on this weekend for the indecision, and know that lots of coins right now are range bound. Guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed. As always, until next time, peace.